Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. It is finally here. The Toronto Major 5 is upon us. It begins later on this evening. 4 massive winners bracket games as well. OpTic Texas go in as favourites, but Ghosty says that he doesn't care about the MVP, doesn't care about the Rookie of the Year. All he really wants is this victory and the World Championship victory, and that's the plan for OpTic Texas going forwards. Plenty of other storylines to dive into today. Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Thanks for all the birthday wishes as well. Fell very nicely, I've got to say, with Toronto. I had a great day yesterday around the city doing all sorts of different stuff. Beautiful city. And now get to enjoy the rest of the weekend at the Major. Here's Stanley yesterday continuing Crimsix's legacy. Unfortunately no longer in the league, but it was the final Major last year where Crimsix was the real storyline, right? He made that crazy run on the subliners to Champs qualification at their home Major 4 it was last year. But yeah, there's a lot of similar storylines around Champs qualification again, and TJ is intending to, I suppose, continue the legacy on the Vegas Legion this time round. I know there was this clip circulating as around yesterday because ZooMaa went around town and, interacted with various people, and it always, I think this is a little bit sketchy, honestly, what ZooMaa was up to here. I feel like it could have backfired on him pretty massively, and so I thought this clip was pretty funny because, he talks to this guy and then just legs it and leaves Mitch in the dust behind him for a few seconds. So, this actually isn't too far from the venue. But I did want to quickly say on the Boston Breacher sound EQ situation, because there was obviously the drama we talked about yesterday where Dashy was like, oh, they've been GA'd from 8 effectively by using sound EQ. But of course, at the end of the day, everyone was using the sound EQ. But even this, I thought, from Adam Adamu, right, over at the Tron Vulture side, he tweeted this out: COD League players worldwide, except for those in Boston, are also celebrating the end of online play and the end of the sound equalization era as the ready games are now on LAN. So pretty funny stuff, to be fair. And I'm really looking forward to the Boston versus Minnesota game today, just because that was the big storyline when they played at that home series a while ago. They refused to take off the EQ for various reasons, and the community Minnesota haven't been so happy with them. Beans did clarify to me though yesterday in DMs, they really aren't like banned from 8 or anything. I think Awakening was, they were kind of saying, oh, we don't want him to play, but then when they needed a couple more and Awakening was there, they were like, yeah, sound let him in, because everyone was using it at the end of the day. But I think, just on a reputation perspective, it's not been absolutely ideal for these guys. But as I mentioned, it will be a really interesting series tonight between these two, Boston and Minnesota Rokkr. These are their numbers over the course of the season. I'm not exactly sure what their head-to-head is here, but it's pretty interesting that Boston, their KD in the control, they're really good at control, 23 and 13, because it's basically TDM, right, is a 1.09. But Minnesota's is very similar, 23 and 15 with a far lower KD. So shows they probably understand how to play that game mode. But still, Boston can slay out and it works well in control. But it's interesting how the rest of the series is going to go. Boston should, based on the numbers, be marginal favourites, but I actually think that Minnesota will be the team I would favour to take this. And if they do, that's a guaranteed 20 points. If you win this series, you get top 6. That's 20 points guaranteed. That will, you would think, secure both of these teams, or either of these teams, let's say, qualification for the World Championship. And I think Rokkr should potentially be marginal favourites here. So I honestly think it's really interesting how this tourney goes. And if Vegas were to lose to FaZe today, I think Surge are the most vulnerable to drop out of Champs, especially because Vegas hold the tiebreaker right now over Rokkr and over Surge, especially if they were to beat Surge in this tourney. They don't hold the tiebreaker over Boston. I believe they're 2-2 on the season possibly, but Boston have the better map count against Vegas. So if they were to tie with Boston, that wouldn't be enough for Vegas unless they actually beat them at the tournament, which could happen, but probably unlikely. So the most likely chance for Vegas is to beat either Rokkr and they lose this series and then they lose to London maybe, and then Vegas get top 6, or if Rokkr get top 8 and they were to lose here and then they were to beat London and lose their next match, then Vegas would need to get top 4, but they need to get top 4 anyway to beat Surge and overcome that 30-point deficit they have there. So it's going to be a wild tournament, but this is one of the most interesting games for that sound EQ drama reason we discussed just a few days ago. Also OpTic, of course, they come in here as favourites. They come in here with arguably the easiest bracket they could ask for. Now, I don't think Florida will be an easy game for them. They've been looking good. Yes, they 3-0'd them online a few days ago, but those maps were close, and there's a good chance here that OpTic see that 3-0 and they think, all right, we've got these guys handled, whereas Florida know that a few small things, they could have potentially won that series. Interesting team, Florida, because they don't have the most talent in the world. Like, they've got solid players, but it's their team play that's really gone to a new level lately. And I think they could cause some problems today if OpTic aren't particularly well prepared. They're coming out with a process episode as well today. Nobody remembers second, and of course their plan is to go one better than that. I thought this is pretty funny as well as we talk about Ghosty. Like, I'm guessing CDL Pal came up with this, because, we spit in question mark at the end. But hear us out. Shotzzy and Dashy need to swap usernames. Shotzzy sprints and moves super fast, so that should be Dashy. Scrappy, and Dashy shoots pretty straight, so that should be Shotzzy. The other thing about OpTic, right, is they've got iLLeY, who might be on their bench, might not be, we're not really sure what the status of that is. So you've got iLLeY, Shotzzy, Dashy, and Ghosty, all the one in. Then you've got Huke. It doesn't really work. Like, it needs to be Hookie Dookie or something, I don't know. I think that was his, like, old school name, I'm not sure, but, like, he needs to keep up with the trend there. Like, they need to change that if they want to win events, in my opinion. But anyway, Ghosty gives his thoughts here on kind of how he weighs the Rookie of the Year debate compared to winning something, right? And he's like, look, I would sacrifice that. I don't really care about the Rookie of the Year at all. All he cares about is actually winning something from now to the end of the season.
At his age, bro. It's all good, bro.
Nah, it's all good.
Listen, once you win MVP, like, she'll pull up on you.
Oh, bro, I don't kill enough to get MVP, bro.
Alright, once you win the Rookie of the Year,
I don't kill enough for that either, bro. Scrappy's an MVP contention.
If you win, bro. If you win, you have a chance, bro.
No cap. I actually could not be bothered about Rookie of the Year. I just want to ring down.
Okay,
Do you understand?
right,
I'd
like,
sacrifice my soul for that, bro.
If you win, bro, she'll pull up, bro. Damn. Like,
oh,
shit, baby.
Say less, Don. Come on. Scrappy won and he got a bird. On God, chat. You guys are right, bro. And he's Rookie of the Year and MVP, dude.
I got ass nasty. Get out of here, Alec. We don't hear
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. He gets a bird, like he gets an MVP. Oh my God, man, what can he do?
You bet on who wins MVP? Like, I would bet good dope.
What, on Scrap?
aBeZy.
Oh, on aBeZy? Okay, yeah, I was like, on Scrap? Nah, bro. Mama Cash is on 8, bro.
If aBeZy doesn't win that shit is rigged.
Nah, dude, like bro, I feel like MVP should be given to the most consistent, like, team and player, bro, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, like, it has to be someone on FaZe. I don't really know, like, what people like to, use as MVP contention, but, like, I don't think it's just stats. Like, chat, like, in my opinion, bro, like, I can understand, like, people saying, like, any player out of, like, the top 4 teams. So, like, Scrappy's obviously a good shout. Like, someone saying, like, Shotzzy or Dashy or, like, Cellium or aBeZy. Like, all those are good shouts. But I feel like abe's, like, consistency, statistically at least this year, has been pretty insane.
So I think this is the correct mindset to have, really, from Ghosty's perspective. In an ideal world, he wins everything, wins the Rookie of the Year and Champs and Major 5. If he does win Major 5 with OpTic, then I think the Rookie of the Year debate is very much open. I believe it's probably an award that's given out before Champs, so I feel like it's going to be difficult to overtake Scrappy anyway, because Scrappy did win an event earlier this season, so he does have that under his belt. But in fairness, look at these numbers. Top 10 winningest rookies in CDL history, ranked by win percentage in their rookie season. Ghosty is number 1 by a long way. 78% of his series is won so far. That's far and above any other rookie. You have to go down to Shotzzy and iLLeY and then Insight, and then Scrappy actually is behind that. And even like 8th place down here is Pred at 50%. So it's difficult in a rookie season to even have a positive win record, and Ghosty's way up here. So it shows that he's very valuable. He's obviously a Rookie of the Year candidate right up there, but it's going to be a little bit difficult to overtake Scrappy unless he has a monster tournament individually, and maybe Toronto have a terrible one, OpTic have a great one. We'll see how it goes, but Toronto also looking pretty strong coming into this one, and you'd expect them to do well in front of the home crowd. Also, the MVP race has been a big discussion of the last few days. aBeZy is, I think, probably still the number 1. Yes, he had a bit of a bad series the other day, but this clutch is still so remarkable that he made a while ago. This is actually nominated for the Esports Awards Play of the Month Awards, and honestly, I didn't see the other plays from some of the other esports. Maybe there were some crazy ones that deserved the award over this, but let's be honest, right? This is not just one of the craziest plays we have seen in the last month in Call of Duty, but it's one of the best plays in CDL and Call of Duty League history. Like, this 1v4 is absolutely absurd, and it was on LAN at Major 4, so it makes it even better that it was on an online qualifier, right? So, yeah, the award voting is now open for this if you guys want to make sure aBeZy wins, because I feel like even if the other players are discussing, like, this one probably still deserves it somehow. And aBeZy is currently being given credit for the majority of the MVP voting kind of rankings right now. JoeDeceives came out with a video yesterday discussing his perspective. These are the top 5 candidates in kind of, like, the community's opinion. aBeZy is number 1 by probably quite some margin. They won an event. aBeZy's been their best player on the course of it, been incredibly impactful, so I can understand aBeZy being number 1, but I don't think this is set in stone yet. If FaZe win, and Ghosty obviously gave his thoughts on, well, you know, it's the most consistent player, which is a fair point, and aBeZy's been on the most consistent team in FaZe, I guess, and he's been their best player, so I can understand why, but still, I don't think it's done and dusted for sure. If Scrappy were to win another event here with Toronto and another MVP, surely he would then take it. Pred, I like having him in the conversation because he's been so good, but I don't think he's ever going to be winning it just because his team's placed too bad, and I do value placings to a certain extent. If you're placing top 6, top 8, like, I don't really care, even if you're dropping crazy numbers. That's why, to me, Hydra honestly deserves, like, being on this list more so, because at least they won an event, right? Yes, it was a long time ago, and Surge made the finals there, but Hydra did win an event, right, back at Major 1, so, you know, I think it's probably justifiable to keep Hydra in and around this conversation. Dashy's here, probably the top representative from the OpTic side, certainly since they brought in Ghosty. Dashy's been different level, and then Octane is still here. Octane was phenomenal Major 4, but has fallen off a cliff a fair little bit, so I actually think the MVP race is very much still open going into the final event, and it will come down to probably who wins, unless, you know, FaZe gets second, in which case aBeZy probably has enough to hold on. But if FaZe don't make the finals here, and Thieves or OpTic do, they will not hold the record for making the most finals in a season. The most finals appearances per season went to FaZe, Simp, aBeZy, Cell back in 2020, FaZe, Simp, aBeZy, Cell, Arcitys in 2021, and then again in 2022 with 5-4 respectively. This year they've only made the finals at Major 2, right? So, I mean, yeah, they need to try and make finals this weekend if they want to not break this streak of the last several years, but other teams have been put together to try and beat them, and that's exactly what they've done over the last couple of seasons. This, though, is a series they should win. FaZe versus Vegas, they bodied them not long ago at all online, and I think FaZe will get the job done. It would be really nice if Legion won this series. If they do, they get guaranteed 20 points, top 6 minimum, and that's a great spot for Vegas to find themselves in. I just can't realistically imagine that happening, but we'll see. Maybe FaZe decide to throw a spatter in the works and decide the losers run is the way to go, but I think Vegas' best chance is if they lose this series, as they probably will, but honestly, who knows? They're going to have to come with the fire in this one to drop down to losers, play Surge, knock out Surge, and then go on to get top 4, and if they do that, they do qualify through for the World Championships. That might be their best and most likely path. This is the other series, though, that I think is probably more interesting than people are really thinking about. OpTic versus Florida. Florida are a decent team right now. Their numbers don't point it out. OpTic 3 of them the other day, but I think Florida are a potential, like a, you know, bogeyman opposition. It's been the case for OpTic in the past that they struggle to deal with this Florida team. And maybe with Ghosty and with no Dave Paddy on Florida, it's a different story to how it was before, and you can understand why. But I think Florida's teamwork has definitely elevated a bit. They will be very well prepared for this series. It's always a phenomenon where you beat a team a few days prior or a week or so prior, and then you go to play them again, and that team has better chances to win the second time around because the team that loses will probably learn more from that series defeat and what they could do going forward in the vetoes and other situations than the team that wins does. So I think OpTic have to be careful here. If they can win this series comfortably or even just squeak by in a 3-2, which is probably what I'd predict them to do, then you've got to feel really confident about their run in the tournament because their second round game they should be favoured in once they're a bit warmed up after this one. But yeah, I think this is one to keep your eyes on if you're an OpTic fan, because I don't think this is going to be as clear cut as people might well be believing right now. But these are the 3 games, or the 4 games of the day. FaZe Legion, Ultra Subliners, which I think I'd favour Ultra, but that's a really close one. OpTic Mutineers 3rd, and then Breach Rokkr closing out the day, which is very spicy actually for the reasons that we described. So very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.